The stars looked different from the bridge of the valiant horizon. Commander Olivia Ness stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the vast emptiness of space through the main view screen. Her dark brown hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her blue uniform fit perfectly on her tall frame. She had been in command for 3 years now, but this mission made her stomach twist with worry. "Any sign of the missing ships?" Olivia asked, her voice steady despite her concerns. Maya Doyle, a woman with copper-colored skin and quick fingers, looked up from her control panel. "Nothing yet, Commander. This nebula makes our scanners almost useless." 17 ships had vanished in this area over the past 3 months. The Alliance had sent Olivia's crew to find out why. The Valiant Horizon was one of the best ships in the fleet, with a crew of 235 people who trusted Olivia with their lives. "Keep looking," Olivia said. "They have to be somewhere." Ben Porter, the ship's navigator, turned in his chair. He was young, barely 25, with sandy blonde hair and eager eyes. "Commander, I'm picking up strange energy readings at the edge of the nebula, like nothing I've ever seen before." Olivia walked to his station and looked at his screen. The readings didn't make sense. The energy patterns shifted and pulsed in ways that defied the laws of physics as humans understood them. "Could it be a natural phenomenon?" she asked. Ben shook his head. "No way. These patterns are too regular, too structured." "Put it on the main screen," Olivia ordered. The view screen changed to show the edge of the nebula, a beautiful cloud of purple and blue gas that stretched for millions of miles. At first, nothing seemed out of place. Then, slowly, something began to emerge from the colorful mist. "What is that?" whispered Patricia Hall, the security chief, her hand moving to rest on her weapon. The object that appeared made everyone on the bridge fall silent. It looked like a giant flower made of crystal, with petals that shifted and moved as if they were alive. The ship, for it had to be a ship, was at least 3 times the size of the Valiant Horizon. It glowed with inner light that pulsed in a rhythm that seemed almost like a heartbeat. "Scan it," Olivia commanded, finding her voice again. Maya's fingers flew over her control panel. "Commander, that vessel is putting out energy readings unlike anything in our database. The power levels they're off the charts." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. "Open a channel." "Channel open," Maya confirmed. Olivia stood tall. "This is Commander Olivia Ness of the Alliance vessel Valiant Horizon. We are on a peaceful mission of investigation. Please identify yourself." The view screen flickered, and the image of the strange ship was replaced by someone, that made Olivia take an involuntary step back. The being on the screen was clearly female in form, but utterly alien. She stood nearly 7 feet tall with skin the color of deep purple twilight that seemed to contain tiny moving stars, as if galaxies lived beneath her surface. 4 arms extended gracefully from her torso. Her face was beautiful in an unsettling way, with high cheekbones and full lips. But it was her eyes that truly marked her as not human. 6 of them, arranged in a symmetrical pattern across her face, all glowing with a cold silver light. "I am Shirel, matriarch of the 5th Dominion," the alien woman said. Her lips moved, but her voice seemed to bypass the ship's speakers and appear directly in the minds of everyone on the bridge. It felt like cool water flowing through their thoughts. "Your species has trespassed into sovereign territory." Olivia swallowed hard, but kept her expression neutral. "We meant no offense, matriarch. We are searching for missing vessels from our fleet." All 6 of Jarell's eyes blinked at once. "Missing vessels? Ah, you refer to the human ships we have collected." "Collected?" Olivia repeated, a hint of anger slipping into her voice. "Those ships had people on them. Families." "Yes," Shirel said, as if discussing the weather. "They have been processed according to our needs." The bridge crew exchanged horrified glances. Olivia stepped forward. "What do you mean by processed? What have you done with our people?" Shirel's upper pair of arms made a flowing gesture. "Your curiosity is noted, Commander. Perhaps it would be best if you experienced our methods directly." Maya's console suddenly began to beep urgently. Commander! They're charging weapons! Shields up, Olivia shouted. Evasive maneuvers! But it was too late. A beam of light shot from the alien vessel, not powerful enough to destroy them, but perfectly calibrated to disable their systems. The Valiant Horizon shuddered as the beam hit. We've lost engines, Ben called out, his voice tight with fear. Weapons offline, Patricia added. They're pulling us in with some kind of tractor beam, Maya reported, her fingers flying over her useless controls. On the view screen, Sorrel smiled. It was a beautiful expression on her alien face, but it held no warmth. Welcome to the 5th Dominion, Commander Ness. Your crew will serve a greater purpose than you can imagine. The lights on the bridge flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Emergency lighting came on, casting everything in a dim red glow. Olivia felt the ship being pulled inexorably toward the massive crystal vessel. All hands prepare for boarding, she said over the ship-wide communication system, her voice calm despite the fear churning in her stomach. This is not a drill. I repeat. Prepare for boarding. As she spoke, strange pods detached from the alien ship and sped toward the Valiant Horizon. They attached themselves to the hull with sounds of metal being melted through. They're cutting through the hull, Patricia shouted, drawing her weapon. The first boarding party arrived on the bridge minutes later. They weren't like Sorrel. These aliens resembled giant insects with humanoid torsos, their bodies covered in hard carapaces embedded with technology. They moved with terrifying speed. The bridge crew fought bravely. Patricia fired her weapon at the nearest invader, but the energy blast seemed to be absorbed by the creature's shell. The alien grabbed her by the throat and lifted her off the ground. Olivia rushed to help, picking up a fallen weapon, but one of the insect warriors swung a limb at her head. The last thing she saw before darkness took her was Jarrell's face appearing on the view screen again, watching the chaos with all 6 of her eyes gleaming in satisfaction. You will understand soon, Jarrell's voice whispered in Olivia's mind as consciousness slipped away from her. You will serve the Dominion, as all lesser beings must. The bridge exploded in a flash of energy that wasn't meant to kill, but to subdue. Olivia's last thought before the darkness claimed her was of her crew, and a solemn promise that somehow she would save them from whatever fate awaited them aboard that alien vessel. Olivia woke up slowly. Her head hurt, and her mouth felt dry. She tried to move but found it hard to lift her arms. Opening her eyes, she saw that she was no longer on the bridge of her ship. The room around her was strange. The walls seemed to move slightly, like they were breathing. They glowed with a soft blue light that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. She was lying on something that felt like a bed, but it molded to her body in a way no human furniture ever could. Looking down, she saw that her blue uniform was gone. Instead, she wore a simple dress made of a material that looked like liquid silver. It felt cool against her skin and moved like water when she shifted. Commander, are you awake? The voice came from across the room. Olivia turned her head to see 3 people huddled in the corner. She recognized them as members of her crew. Engineer Kelly Wright was a short woman with dark skin and clever eyes. Security Chief Patricia Hall was tall and muscular, with short black hair and a scar across her cheek. Navigator Ben Porter looked pale and scared, his young face bruised. What happened? Olivia asked, her voice rough. Where are we? Kelly moved closer to her. We're on the alien ship. They brought us here after they took over the Valiant Horizon. You've been unconscious for almost 2 days. Olivia sat up slowly, fighting a wave of dizziness. The rest of the crew? Patricia's face darkened. They've taken 53 other crew members elsewhere. We haven't seen them since we arrived. And the others? Olivia asked, dreading the answer. We don't know, Ben said quietly. They might be in other cells like this one. Olivia stood up, wobbling slightly. The cell was about 15 feet square, with no visible door or window. Yet somehow the air was fresh and clean. Have they told you anything? What do they want? Before anyone could answer, a section of the wall rippled like water and a figure stepped through. It was Jarrell, the alien woman from the view screen. In person, she was even more unsettling. Her purple skin contained what looked like tiny stars that moved beneath the surface. All 6 of her eyes focused on Olivia, and her 4 arms hung gracefully at her sides. She wasn't walking, but hovering several inches above the floor. "You are awake," Jarell said, her voice appearing in their minds rather than in the air. "Good." "What have you done with my ship? With my crew?" Olivia demanded, stepping forward despite her weakness. Jarell's head tilted slightly as if she found Olivia's anger interesting. "Your vessel is being studied. Its technology is primitive but has some useful aspects. As for your crew members," her upper pair of arms made a dismissive gesture. "They're being processed. Their neural patterns will serve the Dominion." "What does that mean?" Olivia asked, her heart racing. "It means," Jarell said, "that their minds are being integrated into our systems. Human consciousness has unique properties that our technology can utilize." The 4 humans exchanged horrified glances. "You're using their brains?" Kelly whispered. "In a manner of speaking, yes," Jarell replied, as if discussing something ordinary. "But you 4 have been selected for different purposes." All 6 eyes turned to focus on Olivia. "Especially you, Commander." 2 massive guards appeared behind Jarell. They were like the insect warriors who had boarded the Valiant Horizon, with hard shells covering their bodies and technology embedded in their carapaces. Their faces were a nightmare mix of human and insect features, with multiple eyes and mandibles that clicked together nervously. "What do you want from me?" Olivia asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "Your species is peculiar," Jarell said, studying Olivia intently. "So fragile, yet your minds contain such potential. Most humans will serve as processing units, but you," she paused, her 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "You will serve me directly." The wall of the cell parted like water again, creating an opening. The 2 guards moved to flank Jarell. "Come with me, Commander Ness," Jarell said. It wasn't a request. Olivia looked back at her 3 crew members. "What about them?" "The others will remain here as insurance of your cooperation," Jarell said. "Displease me and they suffer. It's a simple arrangement." Patricia stepped forward, her hands clenched into fists. "Commander, don't—" One of the guards moved with frightening speed. Its arm shot out and struck Patricia in the chest, sending her flying back against the wall. She slid to the floor, gasping for breath. "Stop!" Olivia shouted. "I'll come with you. Just don't hurt them." Jarell's lips curved in what might have been a smile. A wise decision. Olivia walked toward the opening in the wall. As she passed Jarell, she could feel a strange energy coming from the alien woman, like static electricity but stronger. She smelled like nothing on Earth, a mix of ozone and something floral and exotic. "What should I call you?" Jarell asked as they walked down a corridor that seemed to be made of the same living material as the cell. "Commander? Olivia? Human?" "Olivia is fine," she replied stiffly. "Olivia," Jarell repeated as if tasting the word. An interesting collection of sounds. They walked in silence after that. The ship was vast and strange. The corridors twisted and turned in ways that made no sense to Olivia's human mind. Sometimes they would pass through areas that seemed to be filled with mist, only for the mist to part around them like it was alive and aware. Other aliens moved through the ship as well. Some were like Jarell, tall and 4-armed with multiple eyes, though none had her obvious authority. Others were like the guards, insect-like and silent. "Where are you taking me?" Olivia finally asked. "To my personal chambers," Jarell replied. "You will assist me with my research." "What research?" "I study communication patterns between species," Jarell said. "Your kind has appeared in our space recently. We need to understand you better." "By kidnapping our ships and experimenting on our people." Olivia couldn't keep the anger from her voice. Jarell stopped and turned all 6 of her eyes on Olivia. "You misunderstand. We honor your people by allowing them to serve the Dominion. It is the highest purpose any lesser species can achieve." "We don't want to serve your Dominion," Olivia said firmly. "We want to go home." "Home," Jarell repeated the word thoughtfully. "An interesting concept. The attachment to place," she started walking again. You will learn that such attachments are unnecessary. The Dominion is everywhere we choose to be. They arrived at a large door that opened at Shirel's approach. Beyond it was a vast room that looked like a cross between a laboratory and living quarters. Strange devices hummed with energy. Screens displayed information in a language Olivia couldn't read. In one corner was something that might have been a bed, though it looked more like a pool of glowing liquid suspended in midair. This will be your new home, Shirel said. You will eat here, sleep here, and work here. You will help me understand your species better. And if I refuse? Olivia asked. Shirel's 4 hands made a complex gesture in the air. A screen appeared, showing Kelly, Patricia, and Ben in their cell. They looked worried, but unharmed. Then, your crew members will experience discomfort, Shirel said simply, and eventually they will join the others in processing. The choice is yours. Olivia stared at the screen, at the faces of people who depended on her. Then she looked at Shirel, taking in the alien's strange beauty and obvious power. Fine, she said quietly. I'll help you. But I want something in return. You are not in a position to negotiate, Shirel pointed out. I want to know that my crew members won't be harmed, Olivia insisted. All of them, not just the 3 you're holding hostage. Shirel was silent for a moment, all 6 of her eyes blinking in that strange sequential pattern. Interesting, she finally said. Your concern extends beyond those you can see, beyond those you know personally? Of course it does, Olivia said. I'm responsible for everyone on my ship. Responsibility, Shirel repeated. Another fascinating concept. She made another gesture, and the screen changed to show rows of pods, each containing a human in a state of suspended animation. Your crew is here. They are not being harmed. Not yet. Olivia felt sick looking at her people trapped like that, but at least they were alive. Keep them that way and I'll cooperate. Then we have an agreement, Shirel said, her voice cool in Olivia's mind. Welcome to your new life, Olivia Ness. Days passed slowly on the alien ship. Olivia lost track of time quickly. There were no day and night cycles, just the constant soft glow of the living walls. She worked alongside Shirel, helping the alien understand human communication, social structures, and defense systems. It was clear that the Nix, as Shirel's species called themselves, were planning something bigger than just capturing a few ships. Shirel kept Olivia close at all times. The alien woman seemed fascinated by human emotions and behaviors. She would watch Olivia eat, sleep, and work with all 6 of her eyes focused intently. Sometimes she would ask strange questions. Why do you smile when you think of your home, planet? Shirel asked one day. Because I have good memories there, Olivia replied, looking up from the data she was analyzing. Family, friends, places I love. Love. Shirel repeated the word like it was foreign to her. You use this word. Often. Explain it. How could she explain love to a being that saw humans as processing units? It's a deep connection to another person or place, a feeling that their well-being matters as much as or more than your own. All 6 of Shirel's eyes blinked in sequence, which Olivia had learned was a sign of deep thought. Inefficient, the alien finally said. Such attachments make you vulnerable. They also make us strong, Olivia countered. We fight harder for those we love. Shirel made a gesture with her upper arms that Olivia had come to recognize as dismissal. Continue your work. Olivia returned to the task of explaining human communication patterns, but as she worked, she was watching and learning too. Nick's technology was strange, part mechanical, part biological. The ship itself seemed almost alive, responding to Shirel's commands in ways that went beyond simple computer interactions. Every 3rd day, Olivia was allowed to visit Kelly, Patricia, and Ben in their cell. These brief visits were the only thing that kept her going. Her friends were being treated well enough, given food and water, but they were clearly prisoners. Have you learned anything that could help us escape? Patricia asked during one visit, keeping her voice low. Olivia shook her head slightly, aware that they were being watched. Not yet, but I'm working on it. During her time in Jirel's chambers, Olivia gradually gained more freedom to move around and access information. The alien seemed to trust her, or at least didn't consider her a threat. This was a mistake. Late one night, while Jirel was away at what she called a Dominion gathering, Olivia took the chance to access the ship's information systems. Her engineering training helped her understand the strange semi-organic technology better than the Nix might have expected. What she discovered horrified her. The Nix weren't just invaders, they were harvesters. Human neural patterns were being extracted and used to power their biotechnology. The missing ships and their crews had been consumed, their consciousness fragmented and repurposed. Worse still, the Nix were planning a full-scale invasion of human space. The captured ships were just the beginning. Olivia dug deeper into the files. There were schematics of the neural extraction process, showing how human minds were broken down and integrated into the ship's systems. The consciousness remained intact enough to function, but was trapped, unable to communicate or resist. It was a fate worse than death. She was so focused on her discovery that she didn't notice Jirel's return until the alien spoke directly into her mind. You should not be accessing those files. Olivia spun around. Jirel stood in the doorway, all 6 eyes fixed on her. The alien's expression was unreadable. Why do you look distressed? Jirel asked, moving closer, her body hovering slightly above the floor as always. Olivia couldn't hide her horror. You're destroying minds, she said, her voice shaking with anger. Entire souls. Jirel's head tilted slightly. We give them purpose. Eternal service to the Dominion is an honor. It's slavery, Olivia countered. Worse than slavery. You're erasing everything that makes them who they are. Not erasing, Jirel corrected. Repurposing. Their consciousness continues, just in a more useful form. Olivia gestured to the screen showing the neural extraction process. Can they communicate? Can they make choices? Do they remember who they were? Jirel was silent for a moment. Such considerations are irrelevant. They serve the greater good of the Dominion. It's wrong, Olivia insisted. Every being has the right to self-determination. Rights, Jirel repeated the word as if it tasted strange. Another human concept with no basis in reality. There is only power and its application. She moved closer to Olivia, looming over her. You would do well to remember that you are here by my mercy alone. Olivia stood her ground. If this is mercy, I'd hate to see your cruelty. For a moment, she thought she'd gone too far. Jirel's body seemed to pulse with energy, the tiny stars beneath her purple skin moving faster. Then, unexpectedly, the alien's lips curved in what might have been a smile. You continue to surprise me, Olivia Ness. Most beings would cower in fear. I'm still afraid, Olivia admitted. I'd be a fool not to be. But fear doesn't mean I have to abandon my principles. Jirel made a flowing gesture with all 4 arms. Return to your sleeping area. We will discuss this further tomorrow. That night, lying on the strange bed that conformed to her body, Olivia couldn't sleep. The knowledge of what was happening to her crew members, to all the humans captured by the Nix, weighed heavily on her. She had to do something. But what could one human do against an entire alien civilization? The answer came to her as she studied the walls of her quarters. She had noticed over the past weeks that the ship itself seemed to respond not just to Jirel's commands, but to emotions as well. When Jirel was angry, the lights would pulse faster. When she was calm, they would slow to a gentle rhythm. What if the ship was partially conscious? What if it was made up of beings like her crew, their minds integrated into the very structure of the vessel? Carefully, Olivia placed her hand against the living wall. She closed her eyes and focused her thoughts. If you can hear me, if any part of you was once human, please give me a sign. At first, nothing happened. Then so faintly she almost missed it. The wall pulsed once beneath her palm. A coincidence, perhaps. She tried again, focusing her thoughts more intently. Pulse twice, if you understand me. The wall pulsed twice, the movement so subtle it was barely perceptible. Olivia's heart raced. She wasn't alone. Somewhere within the ship's systems, human consciousness still existed in some form. Maybe it could be reached. Maybe it could help. Over the next few days, Olivia was more careful around Jirel. She performed her tasks diligently, giving no hint of her discovery. But at night, when the alien was away or in her own resting state, Olivia would communicate with the ship. It was difficult at first. The consciousness embedded in the walls was fragmented, confused. But gradually, Olivia established a primitive form of communication. She couldn't get words or clear thoughts, just feelings and simple responses. But it was enough to confirm her theory. The ship was partially aware and not entirely loyal to its masters. Using small components she quietly collected from around Jirel's chambers, Olivia began to construct a device. Her engineering background helped her adapt the alien technology to her needs. She wasn't sure if her plan would work, but she had to try. The device was small enough to hide in her silver clothing, but she hoped it would be powerful enough to interface with the ship's systems and help free the trapped consciousnesses. One evening, as she was working on her device, Jirel returned unexpectedly. Olivia quickly hid the device in her clothes, but she could tell from the alien's posture that something was different. "There is a gathering tomorrow," Jirel announced. "The matriarchs of all 5 dominions will be present. You will attend." "Me?" Olivia was surprised. "Why?" "You are my project," Jirel said simply. "I wish to demonstrate your capabilities to the others." The thought of being displayed like a specimen made Olivia's stomach turn, but she nodded. "As you wish." Jirel moved closer, studying Olivia with all 6 eyes. "You have been different these past days, quieter." "I've been thinking about what I learned," Olivia said truthfully. "About what happens to my people. And have you accepted the inevitability of it?" Olivia chose her words carefully. "I've accepted that the Dominion is powerful, but I still believe what you're doing is wrong." Jirel made a sound that might have been a laugh, though it held no humor. "Your persistence is remarkable. It is one of the qualities that makes your species worthy of study." After Jirel left, Olivia returned to her work on the device with renewed urgency. Tomorrow's gathering might be her only chance to put her plan into action. If the matriarchs of all 5 dominions would be present, a disruption could create enough chaos for her to free her crew. As she worked, she felt the wall pulse gently beside her. The ship was watching, waiting, perhaps hoping, if such a fragmented consciousness could still hope. "Soon," Olivia whispered, placing her hand against the living wall. "Hold on just a little longer." The day of the gathering arrived. Jirel presented Olivia with new clothes, a more elaborate version of the silver shift she had been wearing, this one with patterns that moved across the fabric like flowing water. It fit perfectly, allowing Olivia to hide her small device in a fold of the material. "You will speak only when spoken to," Jirel instructed as they prepared to leave her chambers. "The other matriarchs are not as tolerant of lesser species as I am." Olivia nodded, keeping her expression neutral. "I understand." Jirel studied her for a moment with all 6 eyes. "You have been a fascinating subject, Olivia Ness. Your adaptability is remarkable." "Thank you," Olivia replied, unsure if it was meant as a compliment. The gathering was held in a vast chamber at the center of the ship. As Jirel led Olivia through the corridors, more Nix joined them. Most were like Jirel, tall and four-armed with multiple eyes, though their skin colors varied from deep purple to blue to a green so dark it was almost black. All of them looked at Olivia with expressions ranging from curiosity to disgust. The chamber itself was breathtaking. The ceiling rose at least 100 feet above them, pulsing with lights that resembled stars. The floor was made of a material that looked like glass but felt warm and slightly yielding beneath Olivia's feet. In the center of the room was a raised platform surrounded by what appeared to be thrones, though they were designed for bodies with forearms and different proportions than humans. Jirel guided Olivia to stand near one of these thrones. "Remain here," she instructed, then moved to take her seat. Olivia looked around the chamber, counting exits and noting the positions of the guards. There were at least 20 of the insect-like warriors stationed around the room, their carapaces gleaming with embedded technology. Escape would not be easy. The gathering began with rituals Olivia didn't understand. The Nyx moved in complex patterns, their forearms weaving signs in the air that left trails of light. They spoke in their own language, which sounded like music, mixed with the rushing of water. Then, one by one, the matriarchs took their places on the thrones. There were 5 in total, each representing a different dominion. Shirel was the youngest, Olivia realized. The others had more elaborate markings on their skin, and the stars beneath their surface moved in more complex patterns. The eldest sat directly opposite Shirel. Her skin was so dark blue it was almost black, and she had 8 eyes instead of 6. This matriarch spoke, and suddenly her words appeared in Olivia's mind, translated as Shirel's were. Matriarch Shirel, you have requested this gathering to discuss your research on the human species. Proceed. Shirel rose gracefully. Honored matriarchs, the human vessels we have collected have proven more valuable than anticipated. Their neural patterns are remarkably adaptable to our systems, more so than any species we have encountered in the last 1,000 cycles. She gestured to Olivia. This specimen has been particularly useful in understanding their communication and social structures. Through my research, I have determined that a full-scale harvest of human space would provide enough processing power to expand the Dominion by at least 30%. The matriarchs made sounds of approval. The eldest spoke again. Your findings are impressive, Matriarch Shirel, but some among us question your methods. You keep this human intact, when its neural patterns could be serving the Dominion. With respect, Elder Matriarch, Shirel replied. This specimen provides more value through study than it would as a processing unit. Humans have complex emotional responses that affect their decision-making. By understanding these, we can predict and counter any resistance during the harvest. The elder matriarch's 8 eyes narrowed. Demonstrate its emotional range. Shirel turned to Olivia and beckoned her forward. Olivia stepped onto the platform, feeling the eyes of every Nyx in the chamber on her. The small device hidden in her clothes seemed to burn against her skin. Not yet, she told herself. Wait for the right moment. Your species forms attachments. Quickly, Shirel said, moving closer to Olivia. Her voice was in Olivia's mind alone now, not shared with the others. This is what I wish to demonstrate. Before Olivia could react, Shirel leaned down and pressed her lips against Olivia's in a gesture she had clearly studied but not fully understood. It was a kiss, but not quite right. Too firm, too calculating. The alien skin felt cool against Olivia's, and that strange energy that always surrounded Shirel intensified at the contact. The chamber fell utterly silent. Even Shirel's guards stood frozen, their mandibles twitching in what Olivia recognized as their expression of shock. Such intimate contact with a lesser species was clearly taboo. But Shirel didn't care. Her 6 eyes remained fixed on Olivia's, searching for a reaction. There was something in those alien eyes that Olivia hadn't seen before, a vulnerability, a question. In that moment, Olivia saw her opportunity. Instead of pulling away in disgust as the Nyx clearly expected, she returned the kiss, then moved her lips to Shirel's ear, or where an ear would be on a human, and whispered, I can show you what human connection really means. If you help me save my people. She pulled back and looked into Shirel's eyes, hoping the alien would understand. This was not about romance or attraction. It was about leverage, about using the Nyx's fascination with human emotions against them. The scandal that rippled through the gathering was immediate and intense. The matriarchs rose from their thrones, speaking rapidly in their own language. The guards moved forward, weapons ready, but Shirel held up all 4 of her hands, and they stopped. Explain yourself, Matriarch Shirel, the elder matriarch demanded, her voice cold in Olivia's mind. I am demonstrating the human concept of affection, Shirel replied calmly. It is central to their social structures. By debasing yourself with a lesser being, another matriarch asked, her voice dripping with disgust. This is unacceptable. While the attention was on Jarell, Olivia slowly moved her hand to the hidden device in her clothes. The chaos of the moment was exactly what she needed. With careful movements, she activated the device and sent the signal she had prepared. Nothing seemed to happen at first. Then, almost imperceptibly, the lights in the chamber began to pulse in an irregular pattern. The floor beneath their feet vibrated slightly. The ship was responding to her signal. Jarell noticed the change immediately. Her head turned sharply to look at Olivia, all 6 eyes widening in understanding. "What have you done?" she asked, her voice private in Olivia's mind. "Given my people a fighting chance," Olivia replied quietly. Alarms began to sound throughout the ship. The walls, which had always pulsed with a steady rhythm, now flickered erratically. The Nix looked around in confusion and growing alarm. "The systems are destabilizing," one of the matriarchs announced. "The processing units are becoming desynchronized." Olivia knew what that meant. The human consciousnesses embedded in the ship's systems were beginning to reassert themselves, creating chaos in the carefully balanced network. The elder matriarch pointed at Olivia. "This human has done something. Restrain it immediately." The guards moved forward, but Jarell stepped between them and Olivia. "Wait," she commanded. "This may be part of the demonstration." Her defense gave Olivia precious seconds. The device, in her hands, continued to broadcast its signal, strengthening the connection between the fragmented human minds and the ship's systems. She had hoped it would work, but the response was stronger than she had anticipated. The ship wasn't just malfunctioning, it was actively fighting against its masters. Sections of the floor began to shift and change. The walls rippled like water in a storm. The guards struggled to keep their balance as the room itself seemed to come alive around them. "Matriarch Jarell, control your specimen," the elder matriarch demanded. Jarell turned to Olivia, speaking urgently in her mind. "What is happening? Tell me." "Your ship is partly conscious," Olivia explained quickly. "Made up of the minds you've harvested. I've helped them remember who they are." Understanding dawned in Jarell's alien eyes. "The processing units, they're regaining autonomy?" "They were never meant to be just processing units," Olivia said firmly. "They were people, with lives and dreams and rights." The chamber was in chaos now. Parts of the ceiling began to fall as the ship's structure became unstable. The guards were firing their weapons at the walls, trying to subdue the rebellion of the ship itself, but it was useless. "We need to get to the detention level," Olivia told Jarell. "My crew is still there." For a moment she thought Jarell would refuse, would turn her over to the guards. But the alien matriarch seemed to make a decision. She grabbed Olivia's arm with one of her 4 hands and pulled her toward an exit. "This way," Jarell said, her voice urgent in Olivia's mind. Quickly, they fled the chamber as it collapsed behind them. The corridors were in turmoil, with Nix running in all directions and systems failing throughout the ship. Jarell moved with surprising speed, guiding Olivia through passages she had never seen before. "Why are you helping me?" Olivia asked as they ran. Jarell didn't look back. "You showed me something I didn't know existed." "What?" "Choice," Jarell replied. "The processing units were never supposed to be able to choose." They reached a transport tube that would take them to the detention level. As they stepped inside, Olivia caught a glimpse of Jarell's face. The journey through space was tense. 5 shuttles carrying the survivors of the Valiant Horizon moved steadily toward Alliance territory, but they were not safe yet. The Nix Dominion controlled vast regions of space, and Jarell warned that other ships might be searching for them. Inside the lead shuttle, Olivia watched as her crew tried to adjust to their new reality. Some were still weak from their time in the processing pods. Others couldn't stop staring at Jarell, their faces showing fear or anger or simply confusion. The alien matriarch kept to herself, sitting cross-legged in a corner of the shuttle, all 6 of her eyes often closed in what might have been meditation. Patricia approached Olivia as she checked the shuttle's navigation systems. "Commander, we need to talk about her." She nodded toward Jarell. "What about her?" Olivia asked, though she knew exactly what Patricia meant. The crew is nervous. She's one of them. The aliens who captured us who were going to process us. Patricia's voice faltered on the last words. How do we know we can trust her? Olivia sighed. She helped us escape, Patricia. She turned against her own people. Maybe. It's a trick, Patricia insisted. A way to infiltrate the Alliance. It's not a trick, Olivia said firmly. I've spent weeks with her. I've seen her change, seen her question her own beliefs. She paused, considering her next words carefully. She was as much a prisoner of their system as we were, just in a different way. Patricia didn't look convinced, but she nodded. I trust your judgment, Commander, but not everyone does. Just be careful. After Patricia left, Olivia went to sit near Sorel. The alien opened all 6 eyes as she approached. Your crew fears me, Sorel said, her voice appearing in Olivia's mind as always. They are right to do so. They just don't understand you yet, Olivia replied. Do you? Sorel asked. Understand me? Olivia considered the question. Not entirely, but I understand that you made a choice that went against everything you were taught. That takes courage. Or foolishness, Sorel said. The Dominion will not stop hunting me, or you. We'll face that together, Olivia promised. The Alliance needs to know about the Nix, about their technology and their plans. You can help us prepare. Sorel was silent for a moment. And when your Alliance learns what I am, what my people have done, will they welcome me, or will they study me as I studied you? It was a fair question, and Olivia didn't have a good answer. I won't let that happen, she said instead. You're under my protection now. Before they could continue their conversation, alarms began to sound throughout the shuttle. Ben, who was monitoring the sensors, called out, Commander, we've got 3 ships approaching fast. They match the design of the Nix vessel. Olivia rushed to the control panel. Sure enough, 3 smaller versions of the crystal-like ship they had escaped were moving toward them. Their formation clearly intended to cut off the shuttle's path. Can we outrun them? She asked. Ben shook his head. Not a chance. These shuttles are built for capacity, not speed. Sorel moved to stand beside Olivia, looking at the sensor readings. Dominion hunters, she said grimly. They must have been nearby when the matriarch's ship was destroyed. What will they do? Olivia asked. Capture if possible. Destroy if necessary. Sorel's voice was flat. They will have orders to recover any Nix survivors and eliminate all evidence of what happened. We have to fight, Patricia said, checking the shuttle's weapon systems. These vessels have some defensive capabilities. Against 3 hunter ships? Sorel shook her head. You would not survive the first volley. Olivia looked at the alien. Then what do you suggest? Sorel was silent for a moment, all 6 of her eyes blinking in that sequential pattern that indicated deep thought. There is a way, she finally said, but it is dangerous and you may not like it. Tell me, Olivia demanded. I can broadcast a matriarch's command signal, Sorel explained. Order them to stand down. But to do so, I will need to connect directly to your ship's communication array using myself as the conduit. What does that mean exactly? Olivia asked, suspicious. It means I must temporarily link my consciousness to the ship's systems, Sorel said. Similar to how your crew members were linked to my ship, but controlled, directed. I can project my authority through the signal. The implications were clear. Sorel would be putting herself in a vulnerable position, similar to the one the humans had been in when captured. She would be trusting Olivia completely. Will it hurt you? Olivia asked. Sorel's upper arms made a gesture that might have been a shrug. Pain is irrelevant. The risk is that I may not be able to disconnect easily. You would have power over me. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the shuttle. Patricia looked at Olivia, her expression clearly saying that this could be a trap. But Olivia met Sorel's gaze and saw something there she hadn't seen before, trust mixed with fear. Do it, Olivia decided. But I promise you we'll disconnect you safely afterward. Sorel nodded and moved to the communication console. I will need direct contact with the system, she said. And it would be best if you were touching me while I do this. Your mind has become familiar to me. It will help me maintain my sense of self. Olivia stepped forward and placed her hand on Shirel's shoulder. The alien's skin felt cool and strange beneath her fingers, the tiny stars moving faster at her touch. Shirel placed all 4 of her hands on the communication panel. The material of the console seemed to soften under her touch, becoming more like the living walls of the Nyx ship. Tendrils of energy began to flow between Shirel's fingers and the console, creating a web of light that pulsed in rhythm with the stars beneath her skin. The alien's body went rigid, and her 6 eyes rolled, back showing only silver. Her voice, when it came, was no longer in Olivia's mind alone, but broadcast throughout the shuttle, sounding deeper and more powerful than before. This is Matriarch Cyrell of the 5th Dominion. Identify yourselves. The response came through the shuttle's speakers, a voice similar to Shirel's but male and deferential. Hunter Leader Vex reporting, Matriarch. We detected the destruction of your vessel and came to investigate. We have located escape shuttles with human life signs. The situation is under control, Zarel replied, her voice commanding. These humans are now under my protection. You will allow them safe passage to the border of Alliance space. There was a pause before the Hunter Leader responded, his tone confused. Matriarch, our orders from the Elder Council are to eliminate all humans who have had contact with Dominion technology. Your orders are superseded by my direct command, Zarel said, her body trembling with the effort of maintaining the connection. The humans possess information vital to the Dominion. They must be allowed to reach their territory. Another pause, longer this time. We do not understand, Matriarch. This contradicts all protocols. Shirel's grip on the console tightened, her knuckles turning a lighter shade of purple. Do you question a Matriarch's authority, Hunter Leader Vex? No, Matriarch, came the hasty reply. But we must report this unusual directive to the Elder Council. You will do so after the humans have reached safety, Zarel commanded. That is my order. Defy me at your peril. The power in her voice was unmistakable. Even the humans in the shuttle felt compelled to obey, though the words weren't directed at them. We understand, Matriarch, the Hunter Leader finally replied. We will escort the shuttles to the border, and then report to the Council. Very good, Shirel said. Maintain communication silence unless absolutely necessary. Shirel out. The connection broke, and Shirel collapsed. Olivia caught her before she hit the floor, surprised by how light the alien felt despite her tall frame. Shirel's eyes slowly returned to normal, all 6 focusing on Olivia's face. Did it work? She asked weakly. Olivia nodded. They're going to escort us to the border. Good, Shirel said. But we must hurry. They will be suspicious, and once they report to the Elder Council, the deception will be discovered. Can you stand? Olivia asked, still supporting the alien's weight. In a moment, Shirel replied. The connection drained me. I have never projected my authority over such a distance before. As Shirel recovered, the 5 shuttles continued their journey, now with 3 Nyx hunter ships escorting them at a respectful distance. The crew was tense, watching the alien vessels through the viewports, expecting betrayal at any moment. But the hunters kept their word, maintaining formation as they approached the border of Alliance space. Hours passed. Shirel regained her strength slowly, explaining to Olivia that the mental effort of commanding other Nyx from a distance had taken a serious toll. In our hierarchy, such commands are reinforced by our ship's systems, she said. To do it alone, from a human vessel, required more energy than I anticipated. Will there be lasting damage? Olivia asked, concerned. Shirel's upper arms made a dismissive gesture. No, but I will not be able to do it again soon. If we encounter more hunters, we will need another strategy. They were approaching the border when the sensors detected a new problem. Ben called Olivia to the control panel again, his face grim. Commander, we're picking up Alliance patrol ships ahead, he reported. Standard Border Patrol. They've detected us and the Nix vessels. They're asking for identification. Olivia activated the communication system.